Okay, picture this. The air is just electric. You've got two MCs, like right up in each other's faces, words flying like daggers.
Hmm.
And there's this crowd packed tight around them. Everyone's got their phone out, filming. It's not just music, right? It's verbal combat.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a gladiator sport, but the weapons are words. Every single bar, and that's, the term for a really sharp line or two, is like a potential knockout.
Exactly. So today, that's what we're digging into. How do you actually win in that kind of intense setting?
Right. Our whole mission here is basically to give you a solid understanding of this pretty unique cultural thing is part sport, part art form.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's pure spectacle.
And we've got some great sources, kind of like an expert's guide, showing how winning is woven right into hip-hop's DNA, from the streets all the way up to these huge global leagues now.
Yeah, the roots run deep.
So the big question is, how did this raw, kind of unpredictable word fighting go from, like, kids trading insults on the playground to this massive multi-million-dollar industry? And what does it really take to come out on top when anything goes? Let's get into it.
It's fascinating, really, because battle rap wasn't just born overnight. It kind of scraped its way up from playgrounds, block parties, building on this older tradition called the dozens.
The dozens, yeah, I've heard of that. That was like a ritual thing. Kids in cities just roasting each other, escalating insults, almost like a game.
Exactly that. And our research, it kind of shows how the dozens was this way to, like, displace aggression without throwing a punch. It was a rite of passage almost.
Like a social pressure valve.
Yeah, exactly. A pressure valve for social tension. Our source calls it the primordial ooze for battle rap. Think of it like Fight Club, but for words. The insults just got sharper and sharper.
So from yo mama jokes to serious verbal warfare. Was there like one key moment, a turning point that really pushed it from the playground into something bigger?
Oh, definitely. You got to look at 1981, the battle between Busy Bee Starsky and Cool Moe Dee at Harlem World. That wasn't just a battle. It basically redefined the whole thing.
How so? What happened?
Well, Busy Bee, he was the crowd pleaser, all charisma, call and response stuff. But Cool Moe Dee just walked on stage unannounced, and like KRS-One said, he served him raw.
Served him raw.
Meaning he brought this lyrical precision, these direct disses
Yeah.
that just like shattered Busy Bee's whole style. It wasn't just about getting the crowd hyped anymore. Cool Moe Dee demanded real lyrical skill, directness. He kind of elevated it from just insults to something more intellectual, I guess, a real sport of words.
Oh, so that battle mentality was baked in early. Did that kind of spread out into like mainstream hip hop too, beyond just specific battles?
Oh, so absolutely. Throughout the 80s, the 90s, you saw its influence everywhere. It fueled that whole beef culture.
Yeah.
Think KRS-One versus MC Shan, or later, Jay-Z versus Nas.
Right. Those were huge.
Even if those played out on records, the source material says this battle mentality suffused hip-hop from its earliest days. Skill was your ammo. It was the proving ground.
So rappers had to be ready.
Yeah, big names like Cannabis, Jadakiss, even Big L, they kind of earned their respect in those cypher clashes before they even had albums out. One veteran said, your focus was to have a hot rhyme in case you got to battle someone. It was just fundamental.
Okay, so freestyling was key back then, but you mentioned it had limits. What was the big shift? What really changed the game later on?
Right, so by the early 2000s, battle rap had kind of gone underground again. It was mostly improvised freestyles, which are exciting, yeah, but often kind of superficial.
And maybe not always really freestyle.
Exactly. There was always that suspicion, like, could someone really come up with a line like, you're in America and here justice is served, completely off the top? The whole format kind of needed a refresh.
So what was the refresh?
It was what they call the cappella revolution. This was the game changer. Leagues like Smack URL, there's Ultimate Rap League, Grind Time, King of the Dot, KOTD. Yeah. They pioneered these pre-written cappella showdowns. No beat.
No beat. What did ditching the beat actually allow them to do differently?
Well, it opened everything up. MCs could write these really intricate, multi-layered bars that you just couldn't pull off in a freestyle.
Yeah.
And because they knew who they were facing.
They could get personal.
Deeply personal, tailored disses. The sources talk about this exponential increase in intellectual complexity and emotional stakes. We started seeing these incredible moments, like Loaded Lux doing basically a spoken word sermon about the struggles of young black men right in the middle of a battle.
Wow. So it became almost theatrical. Which brings up that debate. Is it sport? Is it art? Culture?
And the answer seems to be, well, both and then some. It's definitely a competition, very strategic like a sport. But it's also super performative, creative. It's art.
Like pro wrestling.
Kind of, yeah. That's a good comparison. Showmanship matters just as much as the skill. One source calls it whiplash, how they flip between virtuoso performance and snarling aggression in the same breath. It's that mix.
That's a huge jump from underground freestyles. What's the scale now? Like global?
Oh, it exploded. By 2023, it's genuinely global. And research points to over 500 battle rap leagues worldwide.
500, wow.
Yeah. And get this. The biggest audiences, they're actually in the Philippines. They fill arenas like the Smart Aeronetic Coliseum in Manila, where the Thrill in Manila boxing match happened. Now it hosts rap battles.
Oh, way.
Yep. And Spanish language leagues. They're pulling in hundreds of millions of online views. Top battlers, the real stars, they can apparently command like $40,000 for a single performance.
$40,000 just for words. Man, that's incredible. It really makes you think, what's the hardest part of earning that kind of money just by talking?
It's intense. And you see the mainstream validation now, too. Diddy, Busta Rhymes, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, they show up at these big battles, sometimes even put money on them.
So why are they drawn to it, these huge industry names?
Because it's hip-hop in its purest form, maybe.
Yeah.
It's raw skill. Drake even jokingly challenged Murda Mook, who's a legend, saying, I'll kill you in battling. It just shows the respect the culture has now.
Right.
But even with all this growth, all this money, the core is still, as one source puts it, brutally simple. It's two people, one stage, and an anything-goes war of words. And the winner. Decided by the crowd, the quotables that go viral, and what their peers think. No judges' scorecards, usually.
Okay, so knowing all that background, let's get into the tactics. What does it actually take to win? What's the playbook on the mic?
Right. Winning a battle, it's like preparing for war, honestly. Strategy, skill, psychology, it all matters. It's not just about stringing rhymes together. You got to own that stage, own the moment.
And I guess, like any fight, it starts with knowing your enemy.
Absolutely. You have to study your opponent, watch their old battles, figure out their strengths, their weaknesses, their habits. The top guys, they come prepared with, like, dossiers of dirt.
Really? Like opposition research?
Totally. Because when you drop a hiker-specific reference, something only they or people close to them would know, like, last year you choked at world domination in front of your dad. That gets right inside their head.
Yeah.
It shakes their confidence. The goal, pretty bluntly stated in one guide, is to destroy your opponent.
Okay, so you've got the intel. Now you need the weapons. And in battle rap, it's not complex poetry, it's the punchlines, right? That impact.
Exactly. You need punchlines that hit like haymakers. It's all about being concise and hitting hard. Forget flowery language.
Less is more.
Yeah. Shuffle T is a UK battler. He says, use as few words as possible to land the knockout. The best lines are short, sharp, and explosive. They're the ones that make the whole crowd just go, oh.
And it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Delivery. That seems huge.
Oh, it's massive. Often the messenger matters more than the message. A winner performs their bars. It's about conviction, style, timing.
So projecting your voice, being clear.
Definitely. Vocal projection, enunciation, cadence, it's described as flow meets theater. You got to command that stage. Use your voice. Use pauses. Body language, too, towering over them, maybe getting in their space a bit.
Like the legends Loaded Lux or Murda Mook. They have that stage presence.
Exactly. Almost preacher-like sometimes. It's a total mind game. If you look like you're winning, chances are the crowd starts believing you are.
I can see that. You're trying to psych them out before they even speak. But what happens if they land a good punch? How do you regain control?
Okay, so even though most lines are pre-written now, being able to freestyle just a little is still a secret weapon.
Yeah.
If your opponent hits you with something good, something unexpected, you have to respond somehow.
That's the rebuttal.
That's the rebuttal. It's a quick off-the-cuff comeback. Ideally, you turn their insult right back on them. Like if they make fun of your job.
You flip it.
Yeah. Like, fired me, good, now I'm your boss, giving you this work, something like that. A killer rebuttal can completely steal momentum. It creates those instant, did you catch that, replay moments.
High risk, high reward, though, I bet. But ultimately, it's the crowd deciding. How do you manage them?
Yeah, the spectators, they're the kingmakers. Their reaction shapes everything, so you need them on your side.
How do you do that?
Little things. Throw in local references they'll get. Yeah. Do some call and response. Ride the energy. If a line gets a huge reaction, you pause, let it sink in, let them make noise. You got to read the room, adjust your energy. Sometimes if it gets quiet, a really confident battler might even call it out like, y'all sleep, just to show they're in control.
And controlling yourself is just as important, right? Dealing with their attacks, the whole composure thing.
Absolutely critical. Your opponent will try to psych you out, staring you down, maybe interrupting subtly. You need nerves of steel. Seriously, just keep your cool.
Don't flinch.
Don't flinch. Yeah. The best battlers can have someone screaming insults about their family, like inches from their face, and they just smirk. It's called no-selling, like in wrestling. You just act like their best shot didn't affect you at all.
And if you get upset.
If you look visibly angry or hurt, you've basically bled in shark-infested waters. You've shown them they got to you.
Yeah.
Some guys even laugh with the crowd if a really good diss lands on them, just to rob it of its power.
So project confidence no matter what. And the last piece seems to be authenticity. Like, be yourself, but louder.
Exactly. Audiences, they have like a sixth sense for bullshit. If you're faking a persona, trying to be someone you're not, they'll probably see right through it.
So lean into your own style.
Yeah. Own your persona and turn it up to 11. Think about guys like Disaster, who's this chaotic energy ball, or Shuffle T with his witty, awkward thing, or Hitman Holla's performance style. They're unique, exaggerated versions of themselves. That earns respect, too.
It's interesting. None of that was about, like, rapping super fast or using $1,000 words. It really is this mix, isn't it? A contest of wit, will, and presence.
That's it, exactly. It's not just a rap skill contest. A top battle rapper needs to be, like, part stand-up comedian, part prize fighter, part stage actor. You got to be funny, aggressive, and performative all at once. It's incredibly demanding.
Okay, so let's shift to the edgy stuff, the lines that get crossed. Because it seems like in battle rap, there's this no line left uncrossed kind of attitude.
That's pretty much the default, yeah. Disrespect is the name of the game, talking about dead relatives, mocking race, sexuality, personal tragedies. If it gets a reaction, if it hits, it's legit. The sources are clear. Battle rap has produced some of the most jaw-droppingly offensive lines ever uttered. The crowd often rewards the shock value.
And there's that term going personal, really digging for vulnerabilities.
Infidelity, family problems, financial struggles, anything's potentially on the table. A really well-aimed personal attack cuts way deeper than just generic threats. It makes the other person seem flawed, human, which is the last thing you want in a battle. It can cause those KO moments where someone just freezes up because a real nerve got hit.
So it's risky, right? Could backfire.
Definitely. If you go too personal but the bars aren't clever or well-written, you can just come off looking like a bully or desperate, and the crowd might turn on you.
What's kind of wild is that the audience itself seems to police things, even with no rules.
It is pretty remarkable, yeah. This sort of self-regulation happens, like a non-black rapper dropping the N-word. That's almost guaranteed to get you booed off stage. Okay. Super tasteless lines about someone who died can also backfire if they just feel cheap or cruel, not clever.
But some guys are known for pushing it.
Oh, yeah. You have battlers like Arsenal. His nickname is literally Mr. Disrespectful. He's said stuff that's way over the line by any normal standard, like about an opponent's autistic child. But he delivers it with such flair and originality, the sources say, that the crowd often reacts with this kind of morbid fascination. The underlying vibe is kind of like, hey, you signed up for this environment.
But does it ever actually spill over, like beyond words, into actual violence?
It definitely does sometimes. It's rare, but fights have broken out on stage. There was a famous incident. Math Hoffa actually socked his opponent in the face mid-battle.
Whoa.
And then years later, Math himself got punched by Disaster during a confrontation.
It's ironic, isn't it? This whole art form is supposed to be an alternative to violence, but sometimes...
Tempers flare.
Exactly. Pride, adrenaline, 99% of the time it stays verbal, but yeah, occasionally it gets physical.
And even if it doesn't get physical, there must be a psychological toll. All that negativity, the personal attacks, that's a really important point. Think about the mental preparation. Weeks spent knowing someone is planning to publicly tear you down with your deepest insecurities.
Yeah, that sounds rough.
And a lot of these battlers have regular day jobs, families. It creates this intense cognitive dissonance. Lady Luck, she's a prominent female battler, talked about how exhausting it is to constantly keep up that tough, aggressive front.
And speaking of women in battle rap, it sounds like they face unique challenges, like a double-edged sword.
Totally. They deal with so much sexist garbage, predictable angles about their bodies or who they've slept with.
Yeah.
But the really skilled women, they flip it. They turn it into an advantage.
How?
By using it to expose the ridiculousness of male posturing. They craft these sharp comebacks that just dismantle macho bravado.
Yeah.
MC Gaddis had this great line, something like, if I had $1 for every dude in a battle who said he was going to sexually assault me, I could sponsor the next event myself.
Wow. That says a lot.
Yeah. But, women have been foundational. Roxanne Shante. She was one of the earliest battle rap legends, faced all kinds of bias, but became the first female battle rap star. Ultimately, in that ring, MCs have no gender, only contenders and pretenders. Skill talks.
It's just amazing how far it's all come. It's not just a sideshow or a stepping stone anymore. Battle rap is like its own world, a destination.
Absolutely. You have these powerhouse leagues now, like URL, King of the Dot. They operate like boxing promotions.
Yeah.
Big events, pay-per-view streams, championship belts. It's basically become esports for rap.
The numbers must be huge.
Oh, yeah. We're talking billions of YouTube views collectively, huge subscriber counts for the lead channels. They get corporate sponsors now. Forbes even called it a billion-view, millions in profits industry.
But it seems like they've been careful not to sell out too much, keeping it kind of raw.
That seems to be the balancing act. Yeah, it thrives on streaming platforms where they don't face censorship. It still feels like it makes stars from the ground up, not manufactured by labels.
Yeah. And that connects back to its core, right? Preserving something essential about hip-hop.
Exactly. Battle rap really embodies hip-hop's core elements.
Right.
Lyricism, creativity, competition, and crowd engagement. It's seen by many as a standard bearer for keeping rap real.
Because you can't fake it.
Right. You can't auto-tune your way through a battle. It's live or die based on your skills right there in the moment.
So who are some of the modern legends embodying this? What makes them win?
Well, you've got guys like Loaded Lux. He's like the philosopher king. Complex metaphors, sometimes uses props, famously brought a coffin once. Murdamook has that classic brash OG energy. Disaster is just a human tornado. Insane energy, rapid fire flow, sometimes raps in multiple languages.
Yeah.
Then there's Charlie Clips, who's incredibly adaptable, witty, can switch from jokes to serious angles instantly. Gigi Gotti brings this authentic gangster realism mixed with unexpected humor. And on the women's side, you have Miss Hustle with her super authoritative presence, or Vixen the Assassin, known for just relentless energy.
So it's not one formula. Intellect, aggression, performance, wit, authenticity, they all work.
The common thread is finding your way to captivate that audience and completely outshine your opponent. Make yourself the star of that moment.
You know, what's really remarkable looking back at all this is how much mutual respect often blooms from utter disrespect. That paradox.
It's true. Like boxers hugging after 12 rounds, it shows that people can clash bitterly, yet walk away without real hate most of the time. There's a recognition of the skill and the guts it takes.
That feels pretty profound, actually. In a world where conflicts often seem so permanent, here's a space where people can verbally go to war and then coexist.
And that whole process, the competition, it forces rappers to constantly sharpen their skills, build confidence, resilience. It teaches you to think on your feet, develop a thick skin, not just in battle, but in life.
Yeah, you can see that. It really does feel like battle rap is guarding hip-hop's original spirit, in a way. The ultimate proving ground, where skill and realness are still king. You just can't fake it there.
Absolutely.
So we've kind of unpacked battle rap as this messy, intense, sometimes offensive, but undeniably thrilling art form and sport, where language gets weaponized but also elevated somehow simultaneously. But maybe the final thought for you listening is this. In a world that feels increasingly polished, algorithmic, full of curated performances, what can the raw, unfiltered, deeply human combat of battle rap actually teach us about real expression and that relentless drive to master a craft?